Wait. Screen. Yeah, like what about now?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Yeah. So hi everyone, with me I have Ivansu and Lim, and today like I'll discuss the basic stuff about VAE, the variational autoencoders. So like this paper basically first introduced in first published in ICLA 2014, and before that we have really much like sparse research on generative models, but like this paper provide a kind of like foundation stone for generative models like that we have right now. So it's kind of like birth of modern probabilistic generative models. Okay. Right. Wait. Wait. Yeah. Okay. So I think it's visible, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, before starting this like entire topic and stuff, here are some of the images. I mean, can you specify who are those? Like, who is this person in the extreme?
They are actors.
Yeah. So like, can you
They
name
are
them?
actors.
Yeah, but specific name I'm talking about.
Yeah, some of them.
Okay. So like, who is this first actor? Any names?
Uh, uh, is Shah Rukh Khan.
Okay. Lim, who is this second actor?
I don't know about
Timothy
this.
Sorry?
Chalamet. Timothy
Yeah,
Chalamet.
yeah, yeah. Who is this? Who is this third lady?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Who is this? Who is this fourth guy?
Tony Stark. Tony Stark.
Okay. Tony Stark. Who is this fifth lady?
No idea.
Don't know about this
Okay.
last.
Last two. Okay, now
Yes.
see, here's the fact. The fact is, this guy is real, this guy is real, this guy is real, and these three guys are absolutely fake. I mean, there is no such a human that looking like these three. These
Oh,
all are generated by AI. Now the fact is like how? So how we basically go from simple reconstruction to generation like generative models. So like those kind of stuff were first researched on this paper, like VA's paper. So like today we talk about like the first deep learning model that learned how to generate new data, like basically new faces or new kind of like data distributions. Like it's more than that. Okay, it's all about like VA. Now, another question is why we really need VAE? I mean, you guys familiar about autoencoder? So like so kind of like in autoencoder where we have some input data, and then with the help of encoder we compress those data into a latent vector like this one, and then we use another decoder to decode those data into like the original output. So that we call the reconstructed images. So this is the like overall basic architecture of autoencoders. But here's the fact. The fact is like these autoencoders were not very much smart. Very much smart in which sense? In the sense that they are actually memorizing the stuff, not actually learning the stuff. So like after various after various kind of research, it was found that autoencoders are actually like remembering things. They are not generating kind of new data. So like this cat is kind of asking like, can you generate a new cat? Of course not, because autoencoders are not built in that way. Now, why autoencoders can generate? The main fundamental reason is that autoencoders only memorize, not generate. So, I mean, you can actually visualize this stuff. So, it just remember everything, but it just in a memorized way. So, this is kind of like autoencoders in exam hall. So, it's trying to remember the thing that it has memorized in training itself. So like autoencoders like they don't learn probability distribution because like in the further we'll learn that everything that we have, like every data set, every kind of stuff, we can represent those kind of data set in probability distribution terms. And this probability distribution becomes the foundation stone for generative models. So like these autoencoders don't learn about the probability distribution. They simply like wait, someone is trying to join, I guess. Wait. Yeah. So like I was talking about this. Yeah. So like it's like uh these autoencoders are just memorizing stuff, nothing more than that. So I mean they cannot sample uh and there is no meaningful latent representation and they can't like generate new sample examples and so forth. Now, if we constantly rely on these autoencoder models or the models that actually memorize data rather than actually learning stuff, so that doesn't like give us an actually generative models. So so the fundamental question is that like we need a kind of model that actually learns the probability distribution of the data itself. Now this paper, like the VAE paper, actually give an idea, give an intuition behind the latent variables. See, I mean, see this example. It's kind of like famous MNIST dataset example where you can see like every digit has some kind of different scenario. Let's say zero. So you can say like zero's rotation is changing in a way, its thickness also changing, its writing style also changing. Similarly, goes for one, two, and so on and so forth. So if we actually realize, then for each image there are some hidden features, and the hidden features are different. Like for some it's shape, for some it's thickness, for some it's rotation. So like the scientists are actually like then question the basic fundamental mechanism. Like what if we are not play with the feature representation like the Z, but we play with the probability distribution of those like features. So see, I mean, let's say in a data set we have like thousand of images, and for thousand of images, like those images are different in very slightly manner. So if we actually think, then we get thousand different kind of probability distribution of those data set. So like if we consider those, then those kind of fundamental value become actually very efficient to like train model for generation, because we are giving thousand different kinds of order distribution, and if a model able to combine those some features from those thousand distribution, then it becomes pretty much easier for model to actually generate a kind of new kind of data or new kind of like face from that. So that probability distribution became the fundamental factor of this VAE. Now, how this actually generate? So, I mean, the generative process is pretty much like an important stuff. I mean, in this diagram, you can see that like from for an image, like let's say we have three, so we pass into an encoder. Now, now the fact is like we are not directly playing with the feature space. We are just convert those feature space into PZ or probability distribution. Now, I mean, if you're familiar with some basic statistics, then you will know that for every distribution, we have some mean as well as standard deviation. I mean, that's for sure. Uh, Mean means the average, and standard distribution and standard deviation means how much it deviates from its standard value. So, like it's kind of like in terms of variance. So, I mean, that we have for every kind of distribution. Now, this kind of architecture, like this VA architecture, consider those things like mean as well as standard deviation, and then it like goes with some kind of noise, and then it passes those latent space or latent probability distribution through decoder, and then reconstruction happen. So, I mean, that becomes a very like fundamental factual kind of thing where we're not actually like relying on the compressed point latent space, but we're actually like going with the like representation stuff in probability distribution manner. Like see this loss function. This loss functions become the fundamental like back behind this VAs. Like we have reconstruction term. Reconstruction means like how the like this input image and this is the output image. So how the output image becomes like pretty much enhanced, reconstructed. So that were like controlled by this reconstruction term. It's kind of like probability distribution. We'll talk about that in a while. And they have also used like Gale divergence theorem in probability sense. So I mean that's how it actually uh, like sample the stuff. So yeah. Now yeah. So yeah. So now the question is like why the learning is pretty much difficult. I mean this entire architecture actually shows that the learning is happening. Means this reconstructed image is actually generating from minimizing this loss function, like the reconstruction loss as well as like tail divergence loss. Now the question is there's a fundamental problem. Like if we divert from feature space to probability space or probability distribution, then it's a kind of more problem because in Latin representation we can represent in a point manner. I mean, point in the sense like for one data set, it's kind of different. For other set, it's kind of different. But when we talk about representation, like probability distribution, then it attains a large kind of distribution channel. And for some image, this distribution becomes so much high, so much dense. For some image, those distribution become so much less sparse. Now, let's say this is the kind of like input data that we have, and where we have like true posterior. True posterior means but after reconstruction, we need this kind of like output. So that's why it's a kind of true posterior that we actually want. So we encode those things in like so encoder stuff we can actually see via this kind of this equation. So it's a kind of like simple Bayes theorem that we actually study in like 10th 11th standard. So then we have this latent variable like hidden feature or like the distribution, the probability distribution that we actually have. Now the fact is that like that I have discussed earlier, there is a kind of bottleneck. Bottleneck bottleneck means like the distribution can become so much large, so much high, and then and if the distribution becomes so much high, then after a certain limit, it becomes like impossible to actually compute those distribution in a whole kind of manner. So yeah, I mean you can see from this problem that like the px can be represented by like integration of uh, posterior probability like uh, this not posterior but like that we want into p of z. So this becomes a fundamentally very large kind of stuff that you actually really want to get, and that becomes impossible to compute on that level. So yeah, I mean that. So like here, I also mentioned that the integral is over an entire dimensional space because Z comprises of entire dimension, like the feature space dimension. So like that was the really kind of difficulty in that period. Now, like a fundamental question that arises from here is that like, so how we can actually like solve this bottleneck? I mean, is there any kind of way or any kind of like mathematical structure that we can actually use to solve this bottleneck? Because like without solving bottleneck, we really can't reconstruct an image from scratch. So the fact is like, yeah, I mean, we can, but we need to see those representation and probability distribution in a different style. And that different style that are known as variational inference. So like how this is, and the question is like, what the hell is this like variational inference in this stuff? So like remember we have like this PX where computing PX become so much problematic for for models to actually learn the representation. Now a question: what if we actually change the idea or change the way that we're actually seeing the Fourier distribution? What if instead of like computing from scratch every time, what if our neural network actually learn this via parameter itself, like via encoder itself? So that becomes a fundamental approach of variational inference, where I mean in the green box you can see that the QZ by X. So that actually learns by neural network from the encoder. So I mean this gave a very much kind of good approximation of the entire data, how this actually, how the overall probability distribution is actually like distributed over the stuff, and hence, like this gave a pretty much approximated procedure, like Q Z by X, and that like really help us to like uh, capture the uncertainty in the image. It becomes like much more powerful because like initially we have like point estimation like before probability distribution we have like point estimation to actually work on to actually work like in autoencoder we have seen, like if you guys seen, but here we are not actually working with point estimation, but we are converting those point estimation into probability distribution, so that becomes like much more easier to compute. So like the key idea of this variational inference is that like we're we're not predicting any kind of like point estimation, but we are predicting the entire distribution of the data set, like how the data set is actually like distributed over the space. And like learning this is really much like later proof that it was really much efficient to actually work on. I mean, yeah, I mean, in that way, it actually like learn the new stuff. And like after that, like after successful completion of VAEs, there are many kind of things that actually like goes into it. So like after VAEs, we have GAN. So like like GAN actually pretty much effective in generating high quality images. Then we have like pixel CNN and normalizing flows. Then we have diffusion models that becomes much more interesting, much more state of the art kind of stuff. Then we have like diffusion models and stable diffusion, and then we have like modern image generators and so on and so forth. So yeah, I mean, this paper becomes actually a kind of like foundation stone for generation purpose. Like initially we have every models on the basis of like uh, classifying and so on and so forth, but after that uh, we have everything in terms of this. So yeah, I mean that's become a pretty much fundamental thing to actually look into. Okay. Yeah, I mean, now if you guys want to share anything about your area of research, then please. Yeah, Himanshu, I mean, if you want to say about NST, then it will be good.
Uh, what do you expect me to say? But
Yeah, kind of like basic intro. I mean, so that Lane will also like understood what is NST, and then like,
I don't have a slide.
yeah, I mean, you can actually like say here. I mean, voice is okay for us.
Okay, so basically NST stands for neural style transfer. So basically, we just train a model to transfer style from a given style image to a content image. We basically uh, extract the features from a pre-trained VGG model because VGG 19 or any trained VGG model is basically of- is basically uh, it will act as a feature extractor, and we can use that high level utility of extracting the features from the intermediate layers, and then we just use those representation to inject the style in the representation of content images, and then we use uh, some sort of loss called as gram loss. And so basically, we don't train a neural network on that, but we basically optimize a single image repeatedly to transfer the style. So that was the limitation of NST because it was an optimization over an image, and we didn't actually got any trained model at the end of the day. So that was the limitation of NST. And basically, the 3D version of NST is style radiance field, and right now I'm working with style radiance field. So yeah, I'll update in the group after I'm done implementing the style radiance field.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask one thing. I mean, right now we have this kind of like advanced diffusion models, right? I mean, where you can actually like say
Yes,
like, okay, give me this kind of image, like take this image, combine to style and generate a kind of like new image with
yes,
with the both style, and your NST also do the same, right?
yes.
So I mean,
Yes, but diffusion models are way much more advanced as compared to NST. NST is the foundation idea, that's it. So it gave us the idea about style transfer.
okay, like I think before NST came, after diffusion came. I mean, in the timeline.
Yes, yes,
Okay, but like diffusion models most use, I mean, some kind of deep architecture. But for the NST, it was like I think pretty much more about classical, and then from classical it goes into like doing great level stuff. Right now, it also like expanding its way into 3D stuff and 3D style transfer
yes,
and so on and so forth.
yes, yes,
Uh,
yes.
we have Ansuman in the house. What's up, Ansuman?
Hey, I didn't want to interrupt either of you, but I didn't know what you were talking about. It was interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have been talking about NST, I mean, neural style transformer. I mean, you can say that it's the further of diffusion models. Yeah. Uh, okay, Ansuman, you want to say something about your research, your interest?
Mm, no, I didn't get it what you mean.
Okay, like a few days back, you were talking about Kimi K3. So, like, what's the update? I mean, is there any kind of new models that are coming right now? Coming out right now?
No, I mean, I was talking about Kimi because it was like, it still is like the soda of the open source, right? So it was pretty interesting seeing. I mean, Kimi's first version was by itself the largest parameter model. So it made news. The second was also the largest, and this is the reason I was talking about.
Like, did you read the stuff? I mean, nowadays, the Anthropic and other kind of leading labs, they're trying to ban those open source model in the US on the quote unquote fact that they are pretty much harmful for their humanity kind of stuff.
I think this is just marketing.
It's the marketing, yeah. Fun fact, just today, OpenAI published a report where their new Soul model, GPT Soul, just solve 10 fundamental problems from mathematics, computer science, and like physics, I guess. Under $2,000. I mean, API cost 2,000 API cost, and those problems were open, like open problem. So things are improving in much higher speed.
Honestly, Abhinandan, honestly speaking, I would care more about these things if they solved like DNA problems, protein problems, like how the AlphaFold solved their novel issue and got the Nobel Prize. These kind of small things aren't really impressive, right? It isn't helping humanity.
I mean, it's kind of
That's what
like going, but in a little step. I mean, not that kind of big like AlphaFold that actually did back in, I guess, 2000. I forgot the year, but I mean, it actually did crazy stuff back then.
it should be 19,
Yeah,
I
I
think.
think. But like, have you read that news?
18, 18. Wow, it was in
18.
18.
Wow. Yeah, like, have you?
Fun fact, back then, OpenAI, they beat the Dota 2 team. It's like a multiplayer game, and I was really shocked and that AI can do this. But then I realized the number, just the thousands of hours of training that went into the reinforcement learning, it was just enormous. So the AI knew everything, where to place their characters, which spells to use. Like, it was so complicated and impressive. That's the reason I tilted towards AI in the first place. So the beginnings were really crazy for AI. Right now, it has mostly stagnated towards scaling the transformer models and such and so on.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, right?